Here we go. Welcome back to the channel. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe button. Here we have another crazy story. Rod Diggs, a blood gang member. Don't forget, gang members, they're supposed to go to jail.
Now, historically, some rappers say and do dumb shit and don't feel two ways about writing, recording, mixing, mastering, and releasing it either. But what exactly did a rapper do to get himself locked up in the most secure fortress on the planet?
So this video is about Rod Diggs. Everybody should know about Rod Diggs. Those who don't know about Rod Diggs, he was a very interesting person. He really was. For some strange reason, he wanted to be in a gang. I don't know why he wanted to be in a gang, but he did.
To the jury what a set is within the Bloods? It's a set. Bloods is Bloods, and you got different sets under them. Can you change sets within the Bloods? Yes. At a certain point, did you change your set within the Blood?
So that's what's going on right now. Rod Diggs. He's behind the bars right now. He's not only behind the bars, he's an ADX, blood member. Not only is in ADX, they said he's doing about 140 years plus life. Something like that. Or was it longer?
Before the self-incriminating lyrics and brazen tweets, Ronald Herron was born and raised in the underbelly of Brooklyn, New York. Even as a child, Herron found himself pursuing a life of crime. In '94, a 12-year-old Herron witnessed his 13-year-old friend being...
So unfortunately, Rod Diggs is one of those individuals, I will call them a career criminal. The reason why I will call them a career criminal, because all they do is commit crimes and go in and out of jail like a revolving door. It's crazy what these gang members do, how they live their lives.
Yes. Why is it that you changed your set? Because I turned Pyru. That's when people from the Bronx knew I was from Gowanus. Gowanus was like the home base of Mad Dog. Being that I'm from Gowanus, I turned Mad Dog, a set I was basically raised on.
Rod Diggs, he's from the notorious Mad Dogs, I believe, gang, I believe, and I said a lot of these gang members, for whatever reason, they think being in gangs equals committing crimes for whatever reason. I'm in a gang, so you know what that means. I'm going to start committing crimes.
Shot
it's
by a police
unbelievable
officer
how they be thinking,
while running around with a toy rifle. A story with the makings of a villain origin story. He was featured in the New York Times for this. His first arrest was in 1995, when he was just 13 after getting...
So Rod Diggs, being an ADX right now, it's nothing new for him to be locked up. He's been going in and out of jails since he was a little young fellow, and he just wasn't able to learn. Believe it or not, there's a whole lot of individuals, they go to jail, and being out of jail for more than 6 months is a blessing. Don't forget, these are gang members. Hear how these gang members live sometimes. Unbelievable how they live. It really is.
You said the term Mad Dog. What are the Mad Dogs? Mad Dogs is a set under Bloods. And you said something about the Mad Dogs' relationship to the Gowanus. Can you explain that a little further? It was like the hometown. Gowanus is like the hometown for Mad Dog. All right.
So gang members, different section, this and that. But what they all have in common, violence. That's all they, that's all they do. It's a crazy thing. It really is.
For robbery. And since then, up until his final arrest in 2010 at the age of 28, Herron never stayed out of prison for more than 2 years. While in prison, Herron ascended to one of the highest ranks among the Bloods in New York. His criminal operation would come to extend throughout the Boerum Hill neighborhood of Brooklyn.
I mean, a lot of these individuals, they go behind bars just to become gang members. Think about that. Instead of going behind bars to serve your time like a good boy, a lot of them go behind the bars, especially when they're younger, just become gang members. If Rod Diggs never became a gang member when he was doing his time, believe it or not, he wouldn't have to worry about being in the ADX right now. I don't believe so. I mean, what are the perks that comes along with being a gang member? I don't know. Maybe they are, and I just don't know about them. I never thought about that until right now. Unbelievable.
Who brought you into the Mad Dogs? Ra. Can you tell the jury a little bit about how that happened? Came to Gowanus claiming Pyru. Nobody was really feeling it. I'm from Gowanus, like I said. Basically just repping my hood, repping the neighborhood I'm from, so... Sorry, go on.
So this individual that's testifying against Raw Diggs, don't forget, there's no honor amongst these criminals. They'll tell on anybody because they don't want to do any jail time. It's a terrible thing. I mean, some of them want to do jail time. But if they get the option sometimes to throw you under the bus, they might. They really would.
Small-time robberies to narcotics, and then violent murders, Heron's life was a story of criminality, some he brought to light himself through his music. Despite his frequent run-ins with the law, he managed to have a relatively successful career as a rapper and collaborated with artists like Uncle Murda and Waka Flocka Flame. To his fans, Heron was a hero who used his career.
He wasn't really a hero. He was actually just feared. He's a feared leader of a blood gang set, the Notorious Blood Dogs. Is that what it is? I don't know. But either way, let's get back to it. Raw Diggs was one of the first individuals to commit crimes, and not only commit crimes, he started, talking about it, he started talking about his crimes in his raps. He's one of the first ones. And unfortunately, after Raw Diggs, there've been so many others. These individuals, for some strange reason, they love to brag about committing crimes. I have no idea why. I mean, do they want to go to jail? I mean, imagine that. Maybe that's what it is.
It wasn't feeling that, so basically you go and rep the set you from, the area you from, you go and be Mad Dog. At a certain point after you became Mad Dog, did you get into trouble? Yes. What happened to you? My mother found some crack in my pocket and sent me out to the Bronx.
Unbelievable. I tell you, these gang members, all they do is destroy the communities, pollute the communities. I mean, is jail the best place for them? I believe so. Imagine that. I mean, are there any good gangs? They might be. I just never heard about one. Imagine that.
Talent to portray life on the streets of Brooklyn. Heron would post music on his YouTube channel called Van Got Ent. As of 2024, his channel has over 1 million views with 3,000 subscribers. Most of the traffic comes from his song titled Eulogy, which has a respectable 1.1 million views. But to those who knew him on the streets, Heron...
Raw Diggs is a notorious individual. The worst part about it, he was so respected. But he wasn't respected enough to where, let's hear what he's saying.
Really about the stuff he rapped about. The leader of the murderous Mad Dogs, a blood set involved in pushing drugs, racketeering, and murder. The gang operated in the Gowanus and Wyckoff Gardens housing projects in Brooklyn. Heron started his crack empire on 423 Baltic Street in the late 90s.
Unbelievable world. Unbelievable life of these gang members. Raw Diggs. But basically, you're gonna have a rough idea why he was sentenced to 100 and something years in the ADX. Drugs, crime, murders. You know all the things that all these gang members do.
I'm sorry, go on. And sent me back out to the Bronx. When you went up to the Bronx, where did you go? 175 East Tremont. And when you got up to the Bronx, did you stay out of trouble? No. What did you do?
Don't forget, it's hard for these gang members to stay out of trouble. I mean, that's what it is to be in a gang.
I kept getting in trouble, selling weed for people, basically it. And ultimately...
Gang members don't want to work. They don't want to work, do they?
Expanded his territory fast. He started by using his apartment as a stash house for drugs and weapons, and where his crew members stayed overnight, using his connection from the Bloods. Heron expanded his influence, recruiting dealers, muscle for protection, and enforcers to drive out rivals from the block. Heron further expanded his enterprise, establishing control over drug sales from various buildings in Boerum Hill, including...
Raw Diggs is a bad man, as you can see. He's a bad man. He's not the only one, but he's one of the first. As I said, thought they were so smart. Decided to write a song to tell on themselves. It's a crazy thing. It really is.
Did you get arrested for some of the things you were doing out there? Yes. What did you get arrested for? Throwing me and my little cousins was throwing bricks off the Cross Bronx.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. These gang members, very rarely do they do anything productive. But let's get back to Rod Diggs. Why is he in ADX? Why does he have 144 years plus 10 life sentence? I don't know. Actually, I do know. He was a violent person.
In the Gowanus, New York City Housing Authority that he had grown up in. At 19 years old, Ronald graduated to being a murderer. In 2001, he had his first victim, Frederick Brooks, a rival drug dealer. After a
Imagine that. He never graduated high school, but he graduated something else. It's a terrible thing. That's why he's in the ADX. It makes sense now. Okay, now it's starting to make sense. Now it's starting to make sense.
argument, Heron shot Brooks in the face, neck, back, and head, and left him to bleed to death.
That's a brutal person. He's a bad man. He's a real bad man. Rod Diggs, notorious blood gang member.
Heron took control of the building where Brooks operated. Not long after Heron was arrested and put on trial for the murder, he was eventually released when witnesses refused to testify, likely the result of intimidation. Regardless, he was sentenced for drug charges soon after and remained locked up until 2007. After his release in July 2007, Heron got back in the streets, solidifying operations.
Imagine that, got back in the streets. These individuals, they're addicted to not working. Imagine that. Imagine being addicted to not working. It's a terrible thing. Not only are you addicted to not working, you're also addicted to making fast money. How does that work?
Recruiting sellers, securing apartments for stash houses, and organizing crack sales. The rapid expansion brought a lot of enemies, from whom he needed constant protection. Heron was always armed, walked around with henchmen, and enhanced his power through extortion, robbery, assault, and kill.
What a life. Life of a gang member. That's how they have to live, unfortunately. It's a terrible thing. I never thought about it, but is it hard to be a criminal? Maybe it is. Imagine that. It's a crazy thing.
Killings. Years later, a close associate would reveal that more than once, Heron had even cross-dressed in lipstick, makeup, and a wig to intimidate other local drug dealers. By now, he was so feared that drug dealers started seeking permission to sling drugs from Heron. Heron was keen on wiping out the moles in his crew and keeping a constant eye on them. Richard Russo.
As you can see, Rod Diggs, he's a bad man. He wasn't a regular man. He was a big homie of all big homies. It's crazy. So unfortunately, that's why he's in ADX right now. It's a terrible place to be. That's what I heard.
Heron's associates had tried to create internal conflict, undermining Heron and plotting to eliminate him. When Heron caught wind of this, he decided to eliminate him ASAP. On May 9th, 2008, Heron confronted Russo in a Gowanus Projects lobby, forced him into the elevator, and shot him in the head.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. But don't forget, these gang members, they're very brutal individuals. You know? It's a terrible thing. I mean, that's why being in jail is the best place for them. Imagine that. These gang members don't have any respect for anybody. They take lives like it's nothing at all. It's a terrible thing. But when it's their time, for justice, when it's their time for justice, they start crying. They really do, most of the times.
Heron later absolved himself by destroying the forensic evidence and disposing of the firearm used in the murder. In November 2008, Heron found himself in another territorial beef. A certain Victor Zapata encroached on Heron's turf in Wyckoff and shot Heron's distributor, Maya, 5 times, but she survived. Livid, Heron and his 2 associates recorded a meeting with Maya in the hospital, in which he pledged vengeance on her behalf. Heron stated.
So basically, Rod Diggs, we all know why he's in jail now. Not just that, but other blood gang members, they're in jail too. Are they just partying in there? I don't know. Maybe.
True to his threat, and on the 27th of September 2009, after hunting Zapata for months, spotted and chased Zapata on foot. Zapata fell from a gunshot, and Heron stood over him and executed him in the Wyckoff Gardens courtyard. This was enough of a message that anyone who crossed Rod Diggs would end up in a body bag.
Rod Diggs is a bad man, feared man. Some people say he was respected just because he was violent. Like we all know, violence is what these individuals respect for whatever reason. Being in jail is where these individuals go for whatever reason. As a matter of fact, being in jail is where these individuals belong for whatever reason. They're usually not there for no reason at all. One of those things, though. Will Rod Diggs ever be free? I don't believe so. Will the individual who he unalived ever come back to life? I don't believe so. It's one of those things, though. Hopefully, up-and-coming gang members will say, you know what? We're putting down the guns. We're not going to support crimes because we don't want to end up like Rod Diggs, the big homie of all the big homies in the ADX. I don't know a lot. Only thing I do know is crime don't pay, but I seen them do it. I seen them do it. Unbelievable, these gang members. I mean, are they allergic to getting jobs? I don't know. Maybe. Imagine that. Get a what? Get a what?